Everything Legit, the Nimmy Meta podcast. Well, welcome everyone to season 3 of Everything Legit. We are here. I can't quite believe it because I know I've taken quite a break, but I am back bigger and better and absolutely thrilled to be sharing with you season 3. I want to say my thank yous first. Thank you to everyone who's been DMing me on Instagram and getting in touch about the podcast, still listening to it, even though I really haven't been talking much about it. So I want to thank you all. I also want to thank the Foundry, who are my home, my location sponsor for season 3. They're absolutely stunning open workspace in downtown Dubai, art gallery as well, and this cute little podcast setup that we have here in their studio. So I want to say thank you to them. We're just going to be here all of season 3 and you can't get rid of us. It's going to be amazing. I want to kick off with the tone of season 3. As you know, if you've been listening to Everything Legit before, the seasons have been quite raw. I mean, season 1, the first episode, I started a week before I got married. So it was quite an interesting one. I've been very vulnerable, quite raw about what I've been talking about, personal experiences, things that I've experienced through childhood, through to adulthood, through to my present and my now. And I want to continue to share that with you. Now, the last couple of years have been, you've heard it, they've been interesting, they've been tough for everyone, and I don't want to go on about that because I feel like we hear about that enough, whether that's in media, whether that's in small talk conversations with people. But I want to talk about the deep experiences that I have had, whether that's been within my personal relationships, whether that's been with the voices in my head, whatever it may be. I want to share that with you. Remember to get active. You can subscribe to my podcast anytime, give it a follow, leave some comments, and give it a 5-star rating if you wish to do so. I would really appreciate it. So let's kick off with episode 1. You can see the title, Ending Cycles. Now, you know, I sat down and I wanted to plan this episode out for you because I want to give you more than I've given you before, and that's substance. You know, I've spoken about my personal opinions and feelings about certain things, but I wanted to add more to it and really give you a more round context of this subject. The ending cycles, what does that even mean? You know, some people interpret that as moving on, closure. But sometimes ending cycles is not necessarily a complete end of things. Sometimes it is making a change. And that's what I love about this topic, because I have had so many personal experiences over the last couple of years, the last year, of ending cycles. And I'm sure all of us have. Now, when it comes to ending cycles, it could mean in a relationship, right? Which is kind of the generic one that your mind kind of goes to when you're thinking about ending a cycle. A relationship, a friendship, a job, a habit, eating habits, wellness, exercise habits, positive or negative. Everything has a cycle. And there are different kind of interpretations of cycles in different genres of work, I would say. You know, you have the generic cycle. I mean, let's give a great example of that. A season, seasons of the year. I mean, here in Dubai, there's no such thing as seasons, but everywhere else in the world, we're talking summer, spring, autumn, winter. That is a fixed, guaranteed cycle that you know you're going to get every single year, right? It's a pattern. You can essentially call it a habit, right? When you talk about the life cycle of a human, it's a cycle. It's more scientific based, and I want to get this right because they have different stages of the life cycle of a human. Pregnancy, infancy, toddler years, childhood, adolescence, adulthood, middle age, and old age. And that's just a generic from a scientific point of view. I then looked into astrology and the cycles that they believe in astrology. And there's such thing as a 7-year life cycle. I think I've mentioned this before in one of my seasons, but I never really dug deep into it. It talks about the universe and the cosmos shifting every 7 years. This influences our energy in massive ways. This could mean on a mass scale with all of us, or even on a personal scale, and you may not even realize it's happening if you don't believe in it, but I genuinely do. The cycle I'm talking about today can fit into any context, like I mentioned before, whether it's a job that you're in and it's a cycle that you feel like should come to an end, a relationship, a friendship, drinking habits, your ambition cycles. I mean, I know I'm going through ambition cycles right now. I'm starting one right now just by starting season 3 with you. all these things are related to patterns, and patterns that we are used to. Now, human nature for us, and I know I can say this for myself, I am always scared of change. We have this fear of change. Why? Because we like the comfortability, we like the convenience of something. The change of something just absolutely terrifies me. And that's just, it's not lazy, it's just complacent, and we don't like change, but we know deep down that change is going to change everything. I read this quote from Mike Tyson, believe it or not. He said, "There's no future in our past, just experience. We don't want to return to it, but we don't want to close the door on it either." Mike Tyson, who would have thought? That kind of means nothing is ever truly over. And I genuinely believe in that. You know, even when you end a cycle with someone or something, it's never truly over. Its existence is already there. It's like putting a tweet out or a picture out to social media and the internet. Once you put it out to the internet, it's always going to be there no matter what. And that's the same with a cycle. Why is it always going to be there? Even if it's toxic for you, bad for you, and, you know, remnants of it is left over. Not because you're always going to cling on to it, but because that has changed you for the good. It's kind of your footprint on your future. And I don't think there's anything bad about keeping it there. So I'm all here for it. Now, the thing with closing cycles is we have to differentiate between closing cycles and losing something. Now, I spoke about change before, but the thing with losing something is you feel like you're losing a part of yourself. And when you're losing something, a habit, a pattern, a person, a friendship, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, whatever it may be, when you're losing something, you feel like that person is taking a piece of you with them. But it's not necessarily that. If anything, a close of a cycle, sure, will take a piece of you away, but a piece of you that you don't necessarily need anymore. Because that piece that is missing is kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. That is going to be filled with the start of a new cycle. So I created the steps needed to end a cycle. And I really sat down and I thought about this. Acknowledging a toxic cycle. Right? And I'm just talking about the negative cycles. Again, it could be a friendship. I've had so many toxic friendship cycles. Things that were no longer serving me, but I stayed in just because it was convenient and because that's all I knew. You need to acknowledge it. How do you know you're in one? That's going to take some time. You need to stop and realize and think about that certain context of a relationship. How do they make you feel? How do you make them feel? When you're not with them, how do you feel? When you're with them, how do you feel? How do their words make you feel? You know, these little things, you really need to sit down and think about them. These cycles might not even involve someone else. They might involve something else, whether it's a job, a habit, an exercise, a hobby, whatever it may be. Is it something you completely need to change, or is it something you need to completely end? Now, I think, in my personal opinion, that you cannot start a new cycle without ending the last one. Whether it's with the same person, so, you know, ending something with a friend, but then starting new a bit later on is possible. I believe in that. I don't think ending something means completely getting rid of them altogether. Ending a relationship in the way that it is and maybe bumping into them again a year later, 6 months later, and starting afresh and introducing yourselves again is completely possible. How would you like the cycle to look? If it was up to you in a hypothetical world, how would you have it look? Well, guess what? It doesn't have to be hypothetical anymore. You can truly maneuver it and mold it into exactly how you want it to be. It's your world. You're in control. And control is such a key word here because we're all absolutely terrified of losing it. But this is where it gets me on to the next step of how to move on to ending a cycle. Next step is letting go. This is obviously the hardest part of any cycle. Letting go of a habit, letting go of a person, letting go of a relationship. Again, you feel like you're losing something. Therefore, all we try to do is hold on to it even tighter, right? Imagine a rope. You just try to hold on to it, but that rope is no good. No one is holding on to the other end. It's just you. And that's how I've imagined a lot of my relationships and friendships the last couple of years. As human beings, we tend to stick to what we know, like I said. Therefore, we can't imagine or picture that person not existing in our life anymore. But this is where we need to be able to let go of all that comes with them. I have noticed I have a really toxic trait when it comes to letting go. My mind is against me. So even if half of my mind is already like, Nimi, come on, let's move on. We'll keep it going, look forward, it's all about the future. The other half of my brain is playing memories over and over again. It's replaying conversations over and over again, moments, experiences over and over again. And your brain will trick you like that, because it will then start to fantasize about these moments you've had with someone or these moments you've had with something that weren't really real. And so you trick your mind, and then before you know it, you think you've made a step forward. You've taken 10 steps back. It's about letting go of these memories. Now, as time goes on, time is your best friend. You've heard that phrase before. As time goes on, naturally, things will start to fade. But the beginning stages of ending a cycle, this will be really, really difficult. Letting go is torturing yourself at the same time, because not only do you have to sit there and evaluate everything that's happened and acknowledge it, you have to then move past it. Let go, release, detach yourself from it, from them, whatever it may be, because this is going to be the moment that then takes you on to really, really ending a cycle. It takes me on to stage 3, and this is going to be meshed in with stage 2 pretty much, is feeling the pain. Feeling the pain of letting go of that job, feeling the pain of letting go of that person, your friend, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever it may be. This is obviously going to be the hardest, because as humans, and by the way, I am the guiltiest at this, I have defense mechanisms in place to make me not feel pain. I've maneuvered it and mastered it from a very, very young age. I don't like to acknowledge that I'm going through pain. I actually deny it. I sweep it under the carpet. And I know everyone has different defense mechanisms, right? Yours might be comedy. People like to laugh through it. People like to use socializing as a way to get through something. They could just go out all the time. I'm sure you have friends like that. You could also have people just like me who pretend like nothing's happened, but you're just going to keep going. Some people throw themselves into work, and I know that's exactly what I do. I'm the most guilty of all of them put together. And that is, and I recognized, an incredibly toxic trait, because if I don't stop and allow myself to feel the pain, that pain is going to come back a week later, 6 months later, a year later. It's going to come back to bite me in the arse, and I'm going to be angry at myself that I didn't deal with it in the first place, because I genuinely think it will be harder to deal with down the line. So the best thing to do is to think back step to step on every single experience that was part of this process, part of this relationship. Journaling has been really, really, really beneficial to me. Writing things over and over again, writing my feelings out. I went to a therapist to get through a lot of things. Sometimes speaking it out is the best way. I know a lot of people aren't comfortable with speaking to therapists, family, friends, sometimes even recording voice memos on your phone, because your body feels your energy. Once you release it out, trust me, it does absolute wonders. The most important moments you've had in this whole cycle that you're trying to end is what you need to go through. Close your eyes, go through the notions of it, feel it all, feel the pain now, and imagine what your life is going to look like without that thing, without that person. Are you going to be better off? Is your life going to be more at peace? Are you going to be happier? Are you going to actually thrive and finally come into your own? Are they hindering your growth? Now that last one, are they hindering your growth? Hit me hard more than anything the last couple of years, because I am fiercely protective over my growth, whether that's personally, professionally, whatever it may be. If you are hindering my growth, you're an issue, and I can no longer have you around. So either you change, or I'm going to have to end the cycle with you. And that, when I say you, that could be a person, that could be a thing, that could be a job, whatever it may be. it's hindering me. And I feel like all of us need to recognize how incredibly important it is that if someone is getting in the way of our growth, they are not for us. Someone or something should be feeding our growth. They should be lifting us up. They should actually be helping you open the doors that are meant for you, not even letting you get to the door, you know. And I've noticed that a lot of people in my life were doing that. They weren't serving my higher good and my higher purpose. And that's incredibly important for you to acknowledge, like I went and explained in step 1. It's that you have to acknowledge the cycle is toxic and the person is toxic or the thing is toxic. If something hinders my growth, I'm going to say it one more time. If something hinders my growth, it is not for me. Be fiercely protective. Okay? That takes me on to the next stage, which is number 4. Get excited for the new cycle. Because obviously with something ending means something is beginning. And that's a beautiful thing, right? And I know change is scary, but also, I don't know about you, I get a spring in my step when I know it's a new month, or when I have a new outfit, or when I have new bed sheets, or it's just anything new excites me. It's like, goes back to when you were at school and you got a new pencil case because it was a new season at school and a new year at school, and you got a new uniform and you feel better about yourself. Get excited that something new is about to enter your life, not necessarily to replace that thing or that person, but just that it's going to be different, and different also excites me. How messed up are we as humans, by the way, and as people, that change scares us, but change also excites us. Yeah, I can't explain it either. We're going to have to get a psychologist in for that. But this is exciting. A new pattern, a new you. It's amazing. Become obsessed with creating a new you. Because that's what I've done. I've become so obsessed with it. And to the point where I do think I'm overthinking things at certain times. But that's a whole other subject. I'll talk about that in another episode. Get out of your comfort zone. That takes me on to step number 5, which is don't expect the old cycle to disappear altogether. And what I mean by this is what I meant earlier. Things that existed can never 100% go. Why? Because that's just how the universe works. That energy was put into the world. That energy will remain, but you no longer need to have access to it, right? So I've noticed this in a lot of friendships that I have potentially let go, relationships that I have ended cycles in. I know it happened. I know it existed. I know it wasn't good for me. But I have healed and I've tried to move on with it. However, I'm still going through all of these stages, by the way. Don't get me wrong. But don't expect it to not come back, because those feelings always come back. Whether it's 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, the pain that they caused you will come back. It will pop into your brain again. The memories will pop into your brain again. All of these things will always be there. It's just how you handle it and how you deal with it. Like, what did I learn from it? Oh, that's why I am the way I am today, because remember 2 years ago when they did this to me. So I think there's this like misconception that once you end a cycle, it's gone, it's done, it's never in your head again. Lucky you, you've 100% healed. No, it doesn't work like that, because it is there, prominent in your brain, whether it's at the back of your brain and you don't really tap into it, amazing. But sometimes it will come out, and that's when you have to kind of deal with the pain again. But as time goes on, you get stronger in dealing with it. The remnants of people and experiences will always remain with you. And I think that's the beauty of growth and ending cycles. Because like I said, once it's out there, it will always be there. And I'm not mad at it being there. I'm happy for it to be there, because it's a reminder of how much I have strengthened, how much power I have gained, and how much I have grown. It's the same questions, right, that you ask yourself every single day. And I want you to start asking yourself these questions, not because I want you to question the people and the things in your life right now, but I do think it's really, really important. It's just something that I've been going through the last couple of years, which has enabled me to get a stronger voice, feel more proud of myself, get closer to who I am and who I'm supposed to be. This is interesting, and a quote that I heard: nothing is irreplaceable. A habit is not a need. People become habits. Things become habits. We think we need them. We don't. You may want them. You don't need them. It's not essential for survival. And I think that's really, really important for us to understand. We survived before them or it. You know, life was fine before they or it came along. Life will be fine after they've gone as well. Closing cycles, shutting doors, ending chapters, whatever name we give it, none of it matters because we're leaving the past moments of life that have finished. Now, Paulo Coelho, who is a Brazilian novelist, and I want to end the episode with this. This is probably one of my favorite quotes. Closing cycles, not because of pride, incapacity, or arrogance, but simply because that no longer fits your life. Shut the door, change the record, clean the house, shake off the dust, stop being who you were, and change into who you are. And I absolutely love that. So I'm going to end the episode on that. Please do think about it. And listen, as always, you can subscribe to my podcast. Do get in touch with me on Instagram as well at the Nimi Meta. I love to hear your opinions on my episodes. Also, any topics that you wish for me to talk about. I want to start a feature on every episode called Dear Nimi. Now, this is where you will have a chance to get in touch with me with anything going on in your life. You know, you can remain completely anonymous and I will be more than happy to discuss my opinion on the podcast in the little feature. So do get in touch at the Nimi Meta. I'd absolutely love to hear from you. Share it with your family and friends. Let me know what you thought of today's episode and what you'd like to see coming up on season 3.